Today's video is going to be about shoemaking tools and materials. For the last few months, I have been gathering new tools and materials so I can work on making some boots for myself. While doing this, I found it very interesting on how the fine leather craft that I normally do is so different from shoemaking when it comes to tools and materials, given that they both use leather as the primary material. I will talk more about these differences towards the end of the video, but for now, let's have a look at the different types of tools and materials. These two first tools are very iconic for shoemaking as they show up in the lasting process when constructing a shoe. These are lasting pliers, and these ones are shank pullers, both of which are used to pull and stretch the upper leather of a shoe into shape over a shoe last. These next two tools are irons used to burnish the leather around the edge of a shoe sole. The big one is a glazing iron, and the small one is an edge iron. Rather than burnishing using friction, these are heated on an alcohol burner and then applied to an edge to burnish it, and then again for applying wax to an edge. This next one is called a fudge wheel, and it is used to apply decorative grooves to the top of a welt. Same like the irons, it is also heated before applying it to the leather of a shoe. This one, that looks a bit like a comb, is called a tack lifter. It is used to remove tacks and nails that are applied temporarily during the shoe lasting process. And finally, I have a clicker's knife with a curved blade. This type of knife is used by shoemakers as it is able to cut through very thick vegetable tan leathers. Now, let's have a look at some shoemaking materials. Making a pair of shoes is a big project and requires a whole lot of materials. In front of me here are all the leather materials that are required to make a leather boot. Here I have the leather for the upper exterior and the upper lining, the insole leather, leather for the welts and rands, leather to make the toe puff and heel counters, leather for the outsole, and leather to make the heel stack. This makes 7 types of leathers and leather thicknesses that are used to make a single project, which I think is absolutely crazy. This leather that is used for the outsole is the most interesting, and it is called sole bend. It is the hardest and strongest leather that I've had to work with, and feels and sounds more like wood than leather. It needs to be super durable as it is used for the bottom layer of a shoe in direct contact with the ground that you walk on. These are some other non-leather materials that are used in shoemaking. Here I have some steel shanks used to support the heel of a shoe. Some craft paste used to harden the toe and heel areas of a shoe. Some shoemaker's wax or code that I made for waxing and waterproofing thread. I also have an assortment of nails and lasting tacks, some of them temporary and some of them permanent. And some pieces of rubber sole used for the bottom of the shoe. This one is some cork infill, which is used to make a softer cushioning layer within the sole of the shoe. The contact cement here is fortunately one that I already have, which is also used in fine leather craft. One big difference that I see between shoemaking and fine leather work is the importance that each place on stitching. In shoemaking, there is a lot less emphasis on stitching, and a bespoke shoemaker will nearly always use machine stitching on the upper section of a shoe. The simple reason is that there is a lot of stitching on the upper of the shoe, and there is also 2 of them in a pair, and using a sewing machine ends up saving a whole lot of time. On the bottom section of a shoe, bespoke shoemakers do hand stitch. However, the stitching is a lot less likely to be seen depending on the shoe style, and I think it plays a smaller role in the whole project. As a result of this, pricking irons, which are so important in fine leather work, do not show up at all in tool lists for shoemaking. The tools and materials that I've shown in this video are only a snapshot of shoemaking, but it only goes to show how different the craft is from fine leather work. All this makes taking on shoemaking quite a challenging undertaking, even coming from a fine leather craft background. With so little overlap between the two crafts, it requires a lot in terms of new tools, new materials, and new skills. However, so far I've been really enjoying the process. I will be making more videos on shoemaking as I go through the process of making a pair of my own leather boots, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss it. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.